Prime Minister Hun Sen, you've been an ardent supporter of ASEAN. Can you share with us what your vision for ASEAN is? What are your hopes for ASEAN over the next 5 to 10 years?
In order to understand the point you question, where is ASEAN? One should know that where ASEAN start. This year is the 50th anniversary of ASEAN. Southeast Asia at that time was divided into ASEAN, and the other side, in the block of Vietnam, Cambodia, Vietnam, it's a time of war. And successively, Southeast Asia then was blind to block. But what is important for us until now is that Southeast Asia is under one umbrella. That is ASEAN. But what everyone knows already, the challenges of ASEAN is to narrow the development gap. The uneven development requires time that we need to integrate, which has implemented the first stage and the second stage, and now we are implementing the second stage. That is important issue, reducing the development gap. We face difficulties in narrowing the wealth gap. We cannot make a Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar to have the revenue equal to that of Singapore. But I strongly believe that in the 10 coming years, the digital gap, the think tank gap could be resolved first through the promotion of training and education. It's one of the challenges we need to resolve about the think tanks. There is no big gap between the old members and new members. And the second point, which is not a challenge, is in relations to the connectivity. If our infrastructures, both soft and hard, cannot be connected, then ASEAN communities could not be achieved strongly. Even though I think that ASEAN is fortunate on the point that ASEAN has solidarity, ASEAN works on the principle of consensus, and ASEAN respects each other, which is a special point that ASEAN would advance forward. So the point I hope is that ASEAN has a good future, but we need time in order to solve the problem.
Dr. Chipman, if you can provide us an external view, perhaps, an external view into ASEAN, does ASEAN really exist? Or are we sort of in ASEAN hopeful but delusional?
Well, I think the first thing to say from the outside is that these 5 countries who met together 50 years ago are now 10. It was quite extraordinary those 5 countries met together 50 years ago. It's even more extraordinary to a degree that these 10 countries are able to talk about a community given how politically diverse they all are. After all, you have countries under military rule, you have kingdoms, you have sultanates, you have countries that have Communist Party rule, you have one-party enlightened rule, you have managed democracy, you even to a degree have rather madcap democracy. So you have almost all forms of modern political life and some forms of pre-modern political life represented amongst the governments of the 10. The test of ASEAN coherence is becoming all the stricter. And ASEAN leaders themselves have often publicly complained about the difficulty to achieve an ASEAN consensus on the difficult foreign and security challenges in the region. And the People's Republic of China has demonstrated a degree of skillfulness in being able to tone down ASEAN resolutions or even to direct them in a certain area. And there is concern within ASEAN, and sometimes publicly expressed concern outside of ASEAN, that a number of countries in ASEAN check first with Beijing before they check with their ASEAN partners as to what Beijing might like in an ASEAN communique and are able to guide an ASEAN resolution in a way that finds favor with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China. And while 2 or 3 years ago it was normally thought by the strategic community that tendency was most pronounced with Laos, Cambodia, perhaps from time to time Myanmar, we now see for a number of reasons that a number of other countries perhaps are leaning towards the Chinese point of view. The Philippines, Thailand, Brunei, from time to time Malaysia, making perhaps Singapore, Indonesia and Vietnam feel a little bit more lonely in standing up for questions of the rule of law and principle in the foreign policy and security sphere.
Sejumlah negara kekuatan ekonomi Asia Tenggara telah melaporkan nilai cadangan devisa 2016. Berdasarkan laporan resmi yang telah dirilis, hanya Indonesia yang mengalami peningkatan cadangan devisa pada akhir 2016. Salah satunya berkat penerbitan obligasi global senilai 3,5 miliar dolar Amerika.
Berdasarkan rilis tertulis Bank Indonesia, cadangan devisa per akhir Desember 2016 mampu tumbuh hampir 5 miliar dolar Amerika. Cadangan devisa Indonesia per akhir Desember 2016 tercatat 116,4 miliar dolar Amerika Serikat, meningkat dibandingkan posisi November 2016 sebesar 111,5 miliar dolar. Menurut Direktur Eksekutif Departemen Komunikasi Bank Indonesia Tirta Segara, lonjakan cadangan devisa pada akhir tahun lalu ditopang oleh hasil penerbitan global bonds, penarikan pinjaman luar negeri pemerintah, serta penerimaan pajak dan devisa migas yang melampaui kebutuhan devisa pembayaran utang luar negeri pemerintah dan SPBI falas yang jatuh tempo. Indonesia tercatat lebih beruntung karena posisi cadangan devisa mampu rebound pada Desember tahun lalu. Berdasarkan data BI, cadangan devisa BI sempat menyusut ke level 111,5 miliar dolar Amerika pada November lalu. 1 bulan sebelumnya, cadangan devisa tercatat sebesar 115 miliar dolar Amerika. Cadangan devisa Indonesia tergerus untuk mencegah pelemahan kurs rupiah lebih dalam akibat sentimen Pilpres Amerika Serikat yang dimenangi Presiden terpilih Donald Trump. Namun, kondisi serupa juga terjadi di sejumlah negara kekuatan ekonomi Asia Tenggara. Pada akhir Desember, cadangan devisa Thailand tercatat sebesar 171,8 miliar dolar Amerika, merosot hampir 9 miliar dolar Amerika dari posisi Oktober. Sementara, cadangan devisa Singapura tergerus hampir 5 miliar dolar Amerika sejak Oktober hingga Desember 2016. Sedangkan, cadangan devisa Malaysia merosot hampir 3 miliar dolar Amerika. Tim Liputan, Berita 1.
Bagaimana efek kebijakan Presiden Donald Trump terhadap ASEAN ke depannya? Simak jawabannya dalam sesi diskusi berikutnya usai jeda.